So I thought I'd tell you guys, since you all asked how I got engaged to my wife. Would you guys like to hear that story?
Yeah! Finally.
Basically, what happened was I had been dating Lisa for a few months, and I decided, hey, it's time to pop the question. So it was kind of funny. Actually, when we started dating, I called her dad to ask for permission to date her. And then it was 1 week later, to the day, I called him back and I said, hey, this is the time where I'm going to ask for her hand in marriage. And it was like 1 week later, and he's like, didn't you just call me a week ago to see if you could date her? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to marry her. He's like, that's fine. And I'm like, what? And he's like, he had already known me well enough. And he said, I called Rick Holland. That's exactly what he said. And he said, I interviewed him about you. And he says he would trust you with his wallet. So if you want to marry my daughter, that's fine. So I knew I had permission from the dad. And so I had set up this special day. And so basically the day we got engaged, we got up early. And I went over and picked her up. And we went for a run. So we both like to kind of run and gallivant around, and so we went for a nice morning jog, and then we got cleaned up, and we're going to go out for breakfast. I forgot to tell you, you remember that guy I stole her from, that guy Jeremiah, my friend? So he had heard earlier that week that things between Lisa and I were going really well, and so I said, hey dude, I'm actually going to ask her to marry me like on Friday, and he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. Like, sorry, man, you lost. And he said, I was just kidding with him, but he said, hey, do you want to use my car? And I'm like, what car? And he's like, I just got this brand new Pontiac Firebird Trans Am black leather interior T-top. And it's right over there. And he showed me, we're in the parking lot, and he showed me the car park, as you guys say. So he showed me where the car was, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. And he literally gave me the keys. So that was on a Thursday afternoon. He said, here's the keys, and I gave him my keys. And so I took his car home. I'm like, what a man. Gave me his girl, gave me his car. I mean, I'm just ripping this guy off. No, but he was a nice friend, but God bless him. So anyway, so that morning we go out to breakfast, and then we drove up to Santa Barbara, which is a beautiful beach town on the West Coast, really popular place. So I had gone up there earlier with my brother-in-law, Shannon, to pick the place we would get engaged on the beach. And so there were 3 different places we picked because the tide comes in, and I didn't know what time it would be, and I didn't know how much beach would be to set up like a little table. And so we just made a spot A, spot B, and spot C. So keep that in mind. So then we go up to Santa Barbara, and we're kind of hanging out and just walking along the beach and walk up and down the pier. We have lunch, and we kind of hang out. And then I had planned this one special activity because when we were dating, Lisa told me it would be so fun to go horseback riding on the beach. So I just said, hey, you know what, I'm going to make that happen. So I had reserved like this guy to bring horses to the beach, and we're going to go horseback riding on the beach. How romantic. So as we're driving to this spot, she doesn't know. So we're driving up to this spot, and then out of the blue, she's like, hey, I know I told you that I wanted to go horseback riding, but I really don't like horses, so I hope we're not about to do that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what makes you think we're going horseback riding? And she's like, well, I don't know what you got planned, but I could tell you got something planned, and I don't want to ride horses today. I don't even like animals, you know. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, we're gonna go, and it's gonna be awesome. You're gonna have a great time because I'd already paid this guy $250, which back then was like $1 million. So it's still a lot of money today. But I'm like, no, we're gonna go ride. So we get there, we get on these horses, and her horse like is not behaving. So like she keeps dropping the reins, and her horse is like eating grass, and my horse is like over here, and I'm like, it's not romantic at all. So we finally tie the reins of her horse to the back of my saddle, and we like have to go for a while and finally get down to the beach, and the sun's setting, and then we did actually get her horse to pull up next to my horse, and so it was romantic for like 2 minutes, you know, as the sun's setting. And I mean, we were literally in the water on the horses with the sunset. So that was kind of a cool moment, though it was a little tougher to get there than I thought. So anyway, after that, we're going to a place where we're going to have dinner, a really nice 5-star resort called the Baccara. So we pull up into the valet parking, and we've never done valet parking, and I just like toss the keys to the guy. I'm like, yeah, can you park it for me? And so we walk in with our bags because we need to change clothes because we've been horseback riding. So we go into the receptionist, and we said, hey, we need to change clothes. Where's the bathroom? And he said, oh, you must change in the spa. So I go to the men's spa, And she goes to the women's spa, and I open the door, and the room is about this size. It's a huge room. We open the door, and there's like guys walking around in white, bathrobes, and there's a hot tub, and this guy's getting a massage, and I'm like, this is getting a little weird, but whatever. I guess I gotta get all cleaned up, and so I put on some smell good stuff at the counter, and I'm like checking it out, and I step out, and I had to wait forever for her to come out, and then she comes out, she's like, that was really nice. She's like, we got to come back to this place just to go to the bathroom. This is really cool, because I guess she liked her spa. So then we get on a golf cart, and we drive down to the Bistro, which is this restaurant right on the beach. We're the only two people in this restaurant, and it's really nice with the white tablecloths, and the guy, puts the white tablecloth in your lap, and you're like, what are you doing? So we're kind of sitting there, and we're having a good time, hanging out. And then the deal was, at the end of dinner, I was going to excuse myself and go call my brother-in-law. She didn't know this, so I'm going to call him, but I don't have any cell reception. So I'm like, I don't know if he's at spot A or spot B or spot C. I don't know what to do. So we just get back in the car, we start driving back towards LA, because we were a little bit north of Santa Barbara, so we had to kind of drive back, and then all of a sudden, he calls me, and I don't want her to know he, is doing anything, so I act like he's just back home, which is an hour and a half drive. And I'm like, yeah, so I said, hello? And he's like, stop the car, you just passed us. Where you been? I'm at point B. And I'm like, oh, thanks for checking on us, we're fine, we just had dinner, we'll be back in an hour and a half, we're gonna try to catch a Starbucks or something, and see. He's like, stop the car, back up, we're down the hill, and I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. And so back the car up, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, I think there's a really cool spot where you can see the ocean, why don't we take a look? And she's like, all right. So we stop, and we kind of look over this cliff, and you can see the ocean and the moonlight. And I said, hey, there's some stairs over here. Why don't we go down to the beach? And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, let me get a flashlight. So I go to the trunk of the car, and I grab the ring, which was in the trunk, put it in my pocket, and I grab the flashlight. And I turn it on. I'm like, hey, honey, what do you know? It still works. And I just put batteries in it like that morning, right? So we kind of go down these steps to the ocean, and you can hear the waves kind of crashing in. So every step you get closer to the bottom, because it's like 100 steps down, you just hear the waves crashing in. It's just kind of quiet. The wind's blowing, the moon's out. It's a pretty romantic spot. And so as soon as we get to the sand, I knew where he had set up this table at spot B, right over here to the left. So we kind of come out, and just out of the corner of her eye, she sees the table with candlelight and some stuff over there. And she's like, somebody's going to get engaged. She's like, we better get out of here. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, somebody's, and she's like, let's go. And she starts scurrying down the beach. I'm like, okay. And so we walk down the beach, and then we turn around, and we start kind of walking back, and I start walking over towards the table. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, let's just go check it out. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see what's going on. She's like, you can't be doing that. I'm like, come on. And I'm like dragging her over to the table. And then we get a little bit closer, and then you could hear this music playing. Because I had this song that we had both kind of been listening to, and we'd already picked this one song that's going to be in our wedding. So it had been playing on this CD player on repeat for like an hour. So by the time we get there, you could hear it. She's like, that's our song. And I was like, and this is our special night. So I took her over to the table, got down on one knee, said a lot of really nice things to her, and then I asked her to marry me. She said yes. And so I was trying to put the ring on her finger. She's like, no, it's this hand. So, I don't know. Did that happen to you? That always happens.
A lot of people.
You're like, I'm like just trying to get the ring on. She's like, it's right here. So I put an engagement ring on.
I practiced a lot of my roommates before and just.
You know what? I could have gone without hearing that. But, so anyway, it was funny because we had a little dessert, some sparkling apple cider, and Shannon and Danielle are like hiding behind these rocks. She doesn't know they're there. And so we're like, okay, I think we're done. We're going to head back home now. And so we just left the candle lit, left the music playing, left everything. We kind of walk back up the steps. They kind of come out of the rocks, and they clean all the stuff up, and they have to hike it out of there. And then we got back to their house and had like a little after party where all of her friends were there. And they were like, let me see your ring. She's like, and so that's pretty much how we got engaged. Yay.